I'm in Highlands County, Virginia, Route 250, heading down towards Stanton. This is Route 250 in Virginia. It's a crooked one. Going over the hump here. I don't know the name of this mountain, but look at this road. I think this might be the top. Yep. Headed back downhill now. Still in Highlands County. This is Monterey. It's an attractive little town. What's this building? Look at that. Man, is that fancy? That's a house. I'm guessing this is the county seat. Look at that. Yeah, here's the courthouse right here. Let's stop and check it out. Curly maple. Okay, here's the courthouse, and look, they have a Confederate soldier here. And county office buildings. And this lawyer's office is a neat old stone building. Lots of old buildings here that are well kept. He's looking towards West Virginia, looking out for those feds. All right, we have looks like a memorial. Veterans Memorial. That's what it is. Lots of nice old buildings here. Look how big that building is. This is a beautiful little town. I'm sure I've been here before, but I don't remember it. This is a beautiful road. The scenery is just really nice. Split rail. Not too common nowadays. It used to be the norm. And what a rock house. This is a neat old building here. Lots of old buildings here. Look, they got a wake. Look at that cash register. The old and the new. The big bellows for blacksmith, and a penny farthing. You know what that's called? A big wheel bicycle. How in the world are they balancing those things? The old-fashioned pot-bellied stove. Well, that would come from somewhere like Vermont?
I don't know if it did originally. We got it from just a little town up here called Bluegrass. This, what, 20 feet long thing?
Yeah.
Feet long it is. Yeah, my son picked apples yesterday, so we're getting ready to make apple cider and applesauce.
Wow.
This is one of our next projects.
Let's go in and check it out.
It covers from when settlers first started coming in the 1740s around the French Indian War all the way to the present day. And there's a special focus on the silent film here.
Silent film, all right.
Silent film is called Hollow David. It's produced in Bluegrass in 1921 and it won numerous awards.
Who was the group?
It was produced by a film company out of New York
Uh-huh.
and it starred several big name stars in the 1920s, including Richard Barthelmess and Gladys Coulter, which I've personally never heard of them other than this film, but
Yeah.
they were big names in the day.
Well, that's pretty cool. Silent film there.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a story they're telling. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a story.
And
David.
what is the collections of the local area here?
It's based on a little book that someone wrote about the area, but other than the fact that it was filmed here, it doesn't really have much.
Oh,
to
it was
do with
filmed
it.
here.
It was filmed. It was filmed
Okay.
in bluegrass.
Well, that's a nice display you have here.
And of course, due to the rural nature of the county, most of the locations within the film actually still look exactly the same as did in the film.
Yeah?
So we've made up this driving tour. Of course, this film also features Fort George, which is down on the Old Pasture River. It's a French and Indian era war fort. It was the only one in the county not built that was built to military specifications. It was also the only one that wasn't subject to a serious Indian attack.
And what year was this area first settled by Europeans?
It first started being settled in the 1740s.
1740s.
Yeah. They started down the Bull Pasture, then they worked up here and west.
Mm-hmm.
So the lock in the little display case is actually from the fort.
Okay, this is a drawing of the fort right here.
That is a drawing of.
And it was located right here where we're at now?
No, it was located down the Bull Pasture River, so
Okay.
south of here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I just came from West Virginia on 250.
Yeah.
That was the main turnpike?
Yes, the Stanton-Parkersburg Turnpike, built between Stanton and Parkersburg, was the main route
Uh-huh.
out of this side, which was a big facilitator of settlement here, and also helped consolidate the county.
Mm-hmm.
We were formed.
We're in Highlands County.
Yes, Highland County. It was formed in 1847 out of part of Pendleton and part of Bath. Monterey was chosen as the county seat because it was central, and we combined the county because it was just too far to go to Hot Springs or Franklin for court. At the time we settled the county, Monterey was a nothing town. It was just some guy's farm in the middle of the woods.
With a
Now-
courthouse in its backyard.
Yeah.
So it was a stagecoach
Yeah.
turnpike road to
Yes.
Parkersburg, West Virginia?
Yeah.
From Staunton?
From Stanton. Yeah.
Stanton.
Yeah, we-
Pardon my pronunciation.
We pronounce it Stanton.
All right, and then it became was it a U.S. Highway 250?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, can you imagine going up those hills on this rig right here, huh?
Of course, so when this was a hotel, it was a hotel because of the turnpike.
Oh, it was a hotel,
Yes,
okay.
This house was a hotel in
Uh-huh.
between 1880 and 1930, and it was a main stop along the turnpike. And there's also, on the way to Monterey, you might have saw it, there's a little
Well, now-
log cabin on the mountain, and that was a toll gate.
Okay, so a toll gate, and you had to pay a toll to get,
Yeah, you had to pay a toll to go through the county.
through the town.
Yeah.
Look at that horseshoe bend right there. That's very interesting. It's a beautiful little village here too. Adam Stevenson. Okay. And look at this, an old-timey sewing machine there.
This is for sewing shoes.
Oh, shoes. Yeah, that's why it's bigger than a.
Yeah.
And here's one of the shoes right here. Huh? You imagine that sewing shoes, everything has glued together, right? What was the economy here?
It's mostly agricultural. It was almost completely agricultural.
That's some sheep right there.
Yes, they would run.
Look at them at the church there.
Yeah.
Is this church still here?
Yes, that is the Methodist Church in
Okay.
Monterey.
Yeah, okay.
So it doesn't
Oh, in Monterey.
Yeah, it's in Monterey. So the church doesn't quite look the same. The steeple's in a different point now.
Yeah.
But it's still the same building. Yeah, there was a lot of agriculture. We had to walk animals to market, obviously, before there were trucks. So sheep, cattle, turkeys, pigs, whatever, you have to walk them across the mountains to Harrisonburg or Stanton.
Okay, and they would drive them as a
A
group.
big group. So in the window here, this is a picture. A bunch
So
of
turkey.
farmers have gotten their turkeys together, and this is in downtown Monterey.
Yes.
And say they would line the street with some tar and some feathers, and then you walk the turkeys through it and create a sort of shoe to protect their feet while they walk all the way to the valley.
They have tar coated on their feet.
Yeah, they would walk the turkeys through warm tar to create shoes.
So they're taking them. They're going to Stanton.
Yeah, a lot of times they would go to Stanton. Sometimes Harrisonburg, but mostly Stanton would be the big market.
And wonder how they kept them in a group.
I think
Is it herd instinct, or do they have dogs or something?
say there are probably some dogs. There's probably a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Say it's a lot of farmers with all of their turkeys, so there's a lot of people there too to keep them in line.
Can you imagine a group of turkeys coming down the road there? You'd have to stop and wait for them, right? And they also drive cattle
Yeah.
and sheep and
Probably pigs.
hogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a neat way you did that picture in the window there. Is this an outside window?
Yes, it is.
So it's backlit by the outside there.
It is. These are uniforms that are sort of like what they wore in the picture there at Seldom Seen Schoolhouse. There were a lot of little one-room schoolhouses all over the county.
It's got a little logo there.
So we didn't consolidate the school system until fairly recently, actually, probably the 80s. So now there's only one county school,
Yes.
and it has.
Where is it located?
It's in Monterey,
Okay.
and there's about 200 students between kindergarten and 12th grade.
How many?
200.
200.
Yeah.
Between kindergarten and senior class.
Yes.
So they'd have how many seniors?
This year we graduated 9.
9 seniors?
9.
Were you one of them?
No, I'm going to be a junior this year.
Okay. 9 seniors. Well, this county, what's the population of this county?
About 2,000.
2,000. Is it the least populated county in Virginia?
It is.
That's what somebody was telling me that. Nine people graduated.
Yeah.
That reminds me, I went to Nebraska, in western Nebraska, the most northwestern county in Nebraska, which is the size of Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's one county. No stoplights.
Yeah.
And they had 4 people graduating from their class there. Yeah. So it's similar. Didn't have it on there. Better do this again here. All right. That's the ad machines. This is the telephones and radio. And some of these radios were battery operated
Yeah.
because they didn't have electricity.
Mm-hmm.
The rotary dial. Did you ever use one of those?
I have, yes.
You really?
Yeah.
I guess they don't have rotary. I guess you can't get a rotary phone anymore.
Probably not.
It's all digital.
Yeah.
And they're called crazy quilts because you just take bits and pieces and create
Yeah.
a work of art. Look at these. These are great. 1890
Yeah. This one was a
Wow.
wedding present.
wedding present. Look how
Yeah.
big that thing is.
It had
Look at this,
Yeah.
a quilt dress, huh?
That's a later thing from probably the 60s,
Uh-huh.
where they took the crazy quilt idea and made a dress out of it.
Yeah.
Or
It looks like it'd be warm, huh?
Yeah.
And this right here is a scrap quilt
This would be
made from
Yeah.
anything found in the home. Okay.
This is a modern crazy quilt where you
Oh,
have
okay.
it's not so much about the decorative stitching anymore, it's about and embroidery.
Wow, look at that. That's pretty elaborate there. 1892 for which one? This one?
Yeah.
Wow. They're in good shape to be that age. Somebody kept them in a cedar container there. And here's the Singer, 1951. This is electric.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do the foot pedaling with that. Better watch where I'm going here. The quilt of Highland.
That is the name of the exhibit.
Okay.
Something we actually made specifically by hand for this exhibit.
And look at all these little pin cushions here.
There is a local woman named Terry Hefner who collects these things. So
yeah, so they're from all over the place.
Yeah.
Wow, look at the different ones there. Now, do you have a button exhibit?
We don't have a button exhibit right now.
You know how they used to make buttons before the plastic? Clamshells.
Okay.
They would actually drill it out of clamshells. They would collect clamshells from rivers, and then you would have this machine that would, drill out a plug, and then you would drill holes into that.
Yeah.
So they were pearl.
Okay.
And they costed, well, they were lasted better than the plastic.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I don't know if they even make them anymore, other than exhibits. Look at all these sewing machines. Wow. Look at this one right here. That's. Wow. Okay, we got a couple more quilts here. And this is a foot pedal sewing machine.
Yes.
Davis sewing machine.
And this sewing machine was owned by the same people who made that quilt.
Okay.
I don't think they made the quilt on the sewing machine, but they're the same people.
Yeah. And this right here's some of the family's initials, maybe?
Yeah. A lot of them, they signed it.
Uh-huh.
They stitched some dates into it every now and then. Town of McDowell.
Uh-huh.
One of the pianos was in this house, and one was in his brother's house across town.
Yeah.
We still have one of those pianos. Actually, the bed in the quilt exhibit is built on top of the piano.
Yeah.
But we know that the piano that was in this house, it was in the front room and the parlor. And since the family had fled during the battle, the armies, they came into here and occupied the town to use it as a hospital. And so this house was a hospital, and the piano was used as an operating table. So one of the soldiers, after the battle, he walked into the hospital here.
Yeah.
And in his, I don't know if it was a diary or a letter, I can't remember exactly which, but he wrote down that when he walked into the house, he saw a dying man on the piano whose brains were exposed.
Ooh.
And several pieces of skull had been removed.
Kind of graphic, isn't it? Wow.
So we probably still have that piano. There's a 50-50 chance.
So this house was used as a hospital, mainly by the Confederates after the battle, because it was vacant at the time of the battle. And also the Presbyterian Church. This is about some of the way that soldiers would pass away. And I like the way they put these photographs in the window panes So it's backlit by the outside light. The leaders, I suppose. Battle of McDowell, May 8th, 1862. Union Federals killed and wounded 256. Confederates killed and wounded, or 498, 500. It's a bit of a climb. This is the George Washington National Forest. What a view. Look at that. Right there's the breastworks. This is looking west towards what is now West Virginia. This is where the federal troops came from. These boards explain the story of how the soldiers from Georgia fared while they were stationed up here. Now they weren't stationed here at the top except for battle situations. They actually lived down lower on the east side. This is Churchville. I'm on the Blue Ridge Parkway. This is Mobetta. Look at that rain over there. It's Rockfish Valley. Sure is nice to be off that freeway. Look at this big cumulus cloud. That's where the rain's coming from. This is called the 20-minute cliff. I'm not sure what they mean. The Slacks. It's a funny name. There's another unusual sort of a mound peak. That's a nice view. I think that's Buena Vista down below. Look at this, a little helicopter landed right here.